up your engine! Now, people always ask me about small SUVs. It's a 2005 Subaru Forester. It's been pretty good for its owner. And I'll explain the pluses and minuses of Subarus. Now, Subarus are popular in the United States in basically certain places. 2009, they sold about 210,000 of these Subarus in the United States. But by 2019, they sold 700,000 Subarus. Where did they sell them? Well, here's a list, and it's not surprising. From number 1 to 10. Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Colorado, Oregon, Montana, Alaska, Washington, and Massachusetts. Places where it snows a lot. Subaru has perfected the all-wheel drive system. People up north love them. They're not that popular here in Texas. It doesn't really snow much. But where it snows, these are very popular cars. As far as I can decipher, every car they make, they're all-wheel drive except for their little racy one that's only two-wheel drive. Made in Japan. Now these Foresters and all the Subarus, they're made in either Japan or Indiana. And in 2019, they celebrated in Indiana, they sold their 4 millionth Subaru that they made in Indiana. And not to put people down in Indiana, but the ones built in Indiana are made from parts that are built in Japan. Engines and transmissions come from Japan, and they put them together in Indiana. So still, you're basically getting a Japanese vehicle. Subaru has yet to go on the cheap and start manufacturing in Mexico or China. When we go back to this model, the 05, the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine is a very good engine if you don't want horsepower. They're not racing machines. This has an automatic transmission. That's a decent transmission. And as you see at the vehicle, it's pretty much a station wagon type setup. Got a lot of space, decent looking, got a luggage rack on the top. And as you can see in the back, got a lot of room. The seats fold down, you get more room. She can get her dogs in here with a little dog cage. They're very convenient vehicles. And as we look inside, it's got a pretty fundamental basic interior. Black, got the automatic transmission. The AC blows nice and cold. It's pretty much a fundamental, useful vehicle. No big frills, but it works. Though the check engine light is on, it needs an oxygen sensor. One of them has gone out, which is typical with this age. They are not race cars. Now, I got a customer who's got a WRX, had it souped up. It puts out 301 horsepower at the drive wheels. A lot of power for a light vehicle like that. But it's power that creates problems in Subarus. You keep bumping more power out of these old-fashioned boxer engines. They blow head gaskets, the transmissions go out. This one is pretty much a good little workhorse. You can hear the little boxer engine. They're not the quietest motors, but if you take care of them and don't beat them, they can be very reliable. Now this one's got 168,000 miles on it. Let's see how it takes off. It doesn't throw you back in the seat, but you can hear it revving. It shifts decently still with all that mileage, and it bounces around a little, but hey, it's got the original struts on it too. These are pretty solid made vehicles, and they handle quite well. You know, it's not a race car, and it's got old worn struts, but it's comfortable enough for riding around. You feel secure driving on it. The wheelbase is big enough that it's a very stable vehicle to drive. I have to face it with this car, all this mileage on it, 16 years old, still in pretty good shape. Little old lady owns this one. She's taking care of it. She's happy with the car. You don't want to keep bumping them up, put in 6-cylinder engines, throw turbochargers on them. Yeah, you get more horsepower, but that's not what these things are about. This one's got enough horsepower to get it around, wagon slash crossover vehicle. That is what it is. Considering that Subaru sold over 700,000 cars in the United States last year, they're doing something right. And especially if you see that list that I told you. All northern, cold climates, mountainous, snow, people love them. Their all-wheel drive system is really top-notch. That's what Subaru specialized in the beginning, and it's paying off because people want that. They get a system that works fine. Yes, it's not a racing system. It's not like an Audi 4-wheel drive that's made for speed to go 180 miles an hour. It's for control, and you don't get stuck in the snow or mud somewhere. It's not really an off-road vehicle. It's a little bit higher, but it doesn't have clearance for off-road. It's made for on-road fun. And then if you got a friend who lives in the country who's got a crappy dirt road with potholes, you can drive it slowly through them and it's not going to get stuck. They're excellent systems. They're well made. This one, all that mileage, transmission, all-wheel drive, it's never been touched. Still works fine. Now, if this had been a V6 automatic Subaru, odds are the engine would have gone out a long time ago. They had a lot of problems with their lifters, with their cams, blowing head gaskets, burning out the automatic transmissions because the powerful 6-cylinder engine puts out too much horsepower for the transmission and burns them out. In this case, the engine and the transmission is matched quite well. Now, as far as I'm concerned, one of the big reasons these things are selling better is this one back in 2005 was $23,800. You can get a 2020 Forester. They start at $24,995. Not that big of a price difference considering that that was 16 years ago. Think about it. You look at other cars, they're generally 30, 40, 50% or more price increase. Smart move. That's probably how they went from selling 300,000 to 700,000 cars in 2019. They are priced right for what you get. That's the thing I have against some of their competitors. Hyundai used to be, they were a lot cheaper than the Toyotas. Now, they're pretty much about the same price. Well, I'm going to go for the ultimate quality Toyota when it comes to price like that. And these Subarus, they're still made either in Japan or from Japanese parts put together in Indiana. They're still solid built cars and they are lower priced. They only went up $1,000-something in 16 years. That's kind of amazing when you think about it. Many times the market bears that out. That's why they're selling 700,000 of them. They're a good price for a decent vehicle. Like I said, you don't want to buy a Subaru with a big V6 engine, turbo and all that. It's overstressing the old-fashioned boxer engine. But you take a basic 4-cylinder boxer engine, if you maintain it and don't over-rev it, it can last quite some time. You just don't want to stress it like the young kids who are going to bolt superchargers on. Yeah, they'll go a lot faster and they'll also blow up a lot faster too. And really, if you check it out, for an old vehicle, the paint's still in decent shape, the wheels are still in decent shape, the roof rack still there isn't cracked, that 4-wheel drive system works perfectly fine. It's still a decent looking vehicle. I kind of like it because I was always into station wagons. As you can see, it still has that station wagon shape back in 2005. So now you know the real truth about these Subaru Foresters. They can be great vehicles if you take care of them and don't push them too hard. They're made for a purpose, carrying people. In this case, people and dogs. They're not going to get stuck with their all-wheel drive. Very good all-wheel drive system that doesn't generally have problems at all. For the price that you pay, hey, they can be great cars, especially if you buy a used one. Hey, if she ever can't drive anymore because she's getting older, hey, I'd buy this car in a heartbeat. I wouldn't pay much for it because I'm cheap, but I'd still buy it. So now you know the truth about another car that's out there. So you can make a wise decision the next time that you think, hey, maybe I should get another vehicle. Maybe a new one, maybe a used one, but I want to make the right decision. Well, now you got the information to make the right decision. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Big Al says, Scotty, I have a 98 Ranger 4-liter. I have a thumping noise coming from the heater core. I changed the water pump and everything, and nobody can figure out what it is. Generally, you get a thumping noise. That means that there is air in the system. It gets hot enough, it can create steam, and it'll thump. So, odds are you got air in the system, or you have a clogged heater core that won't let the air come out of the system because it's so clogged up. Now, let's say you're still getting heat. Well, odds are then it's just air in the system. What you want to do is jack the vehicle front up high, so it's real high. When it's cold, take the radiator cap off. Let the engine idle, and as it does, stand in front with the cap off and add coolant as the air burps up because it'll go to the highest point. Now, if that doesn't work, you can pay a mechanic like me. We have vacuum bleeders. What we do is we hook it up to our air compressor. It makes a venturi, and it sucks all the air out of your cooling system. And then once it's sucked out, there's a valve. You shut the valve. Then you take that hose and you put it in a gallon of coolant. And when you open that valve again, the vacuum sucks it all in and there's no air left in the system. If you can't bleed it out, pay a mechanic to do it. Or if you're really into cars, buy one of those vacuum systems yourself, and then you can vacuum your car, your friend's car. Who knows? You might turn into a mechanic and make a lot of money on the side. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.